Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be a super short video because really all I want to do is do a really fast summary of where we've been and then set the context for the next couple weeks. So we're looking at the definition of worldview as an explicit, implicit way of belonging, believing, and becoming. So when we looked at the idea of explicit, implicit, this covers the idea of the fact that we are always driven by some sort of presuppositional undercurrent of maybe our culture, our belief system, and all of that sort of drives us forward. And we need to be aware of a lot of the presuppositions that are work in us. When we looked at belonging, this was the idea that the groups that we're in are always going to influence who we are. And so whether it's your family, your church, the sports teams, the community that you're in, the school that you go to, all of these things affect really in a big way who you are, and it affects your worldview. This week we're switching to the believing part. So explicit, implicit, belonging, believing, and becoming. And so as we look at believing, and this is actually a philosophy course, and so the believing, we're going to look at some philosophical ideas. And for some of you, that's super scary. Some of you might think that's actually sort of interesting. I think that philosophy is really interesting. And a lot of times people don't like to think of the idea of philosophy because it hurts their brains, or they just sort of see no point in it, that it's just asking a lot of unanswerable questions. I like to think of philosophy as sort of like a treadmill. And, when you're on a treadmill, you don't really go anywhere. So let's say that you're on a treadmill for 5 miles a day, and after a year, you've maybe gone 1,000 miles. That math, I have no idea if the math works out, but you've got a lot of miles, right? But you haven't gone anywhere. So you've gone a lot of places, or you've gone a big distance of walking, but you're basically in the same place. And so treadmills are not good ways of transportation, but they are good for getting your body in shape. And philosophy, I like to think of sort of the same way, that even though some of the questions that we ask might be hard questions and we're not really sure exactly where they're leading, right? So the idea is that, we're asking these questions that might not have simple answers to them, but in fact, they do help our way of thinking. So we're going to start looking at these ideas of philosophy and start to ask the questions of how do those affect our worldview. And so this week, we're not going to have any readings from the Hidden Worldview book. I've got 4 videos for you to watch from a really interesting site called Crash Course Philosophy. They do a lot of different things. And so in their series on philosophy, they've got a lot of them, but I'm just going to have you watch 4 of them. And after you watch each of them, I'm going to ask you just to write a 250-word summary of what you've been watching. Okay. And so philosophy, just to give you a very broad outline, and in fact, kind of what we're doing is almost impossible of trying to look at philosophy in 2 weeks because, people have written volumes on philosophy. Some people have majored in philosophy, which means that they'll spend, 10 years looking at these issues, but we got 2 weeks. And so we're going to look at some big pictures. And so when we think of philosophy, I want you to remember this, that philosophy answers 3 basic questions. It answers what is real, what is true, and what is good. The question of what is real, this is the area of metaphysics. Okay, so you hear that word metaphysics, really it's a big scary word, but all it means is the study of reality. And so it asks what is real. The second, what is true, is the area we call epistemology. And again, that's a scary sounding word, but really all it is just the question of how do you know what you know? Okay. So I think I know that my car is outside, but how do I know that? Okay, so those are those kind of questions. And then the third question, what is good? This is the idea of ethics / aesthetics. Okay, ethics and aesthetics. Ethics has to do with morality. Aesthetics has to do with art, what is beautiful. Okay, so remember that when we're thinking about philosophy, 3 big questions. What is real, what is true, what is good. So what is real is metaphysics. What is true is an area of epistemology. And the area of what is good is ethics and aesthetics. Okay, so if you remember that, and have you guys work through the stuff for this week. And I've enjoyed looking at how you guys are responding to things like the Hinge podcast, things like that. And we'll try to move forward with all of that and move a little closer to getting a lot of stuff back to you guys. So thanks for participating. Thanks for being part of the class. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.